Hey guys, Nike here. I just wanted to go over my WvW build real quick because a lot of people have been asking me if my normal PvE build's any good in WvW, and honestly it isn't. This is the build I use in WvW. I'll go over the traits and then equipment and then playstyle real quick. First we take 20 in defense for Dogged March, which really makes you very immune to a lot of conditions. And then for Merciless Hammer for increased hammer damage by 25% versus when a foe is disabled, and reducing cooldown of hammer skills by 20%. As you might guess, it's a hammer build that we'll be using. Tactics, I go 20 in tactics. For leg specialist, the 1 second immobilize is really key and really helps a lot in both Zerg fights and chasing down people. So this is definitely a super important trait. Next is lung capacity. Shouts recharge 20% faster. As you can see, I used 3 shouts on my bar. So lung capacity comes in handy, pretty big. And then I go 30 in discipline. Inspiring shouts, gain adrenaline when using a shout. This is super good because this is a build that wants to spam Earthshaker as much as possible. So, and you're going to be using your shouts quite a bit, so it'll just be fueling your Earthshakers. Signet Mastery, obvious reasons. What you can do is, because a lot of times when I run in a Zerg, I will use Battle Standard, or even mostly anytime I run Battle Standard. So you can change Signet Mastery out for Destruction of the Empowered. I think it's perfectly fine, and it's actually really good in Zerg v Zerg. And then lastly, Burst Mastery. Burst skills deal more damage and cost less. Basically, you want to be using Zerg v Zerg, your Earthshaker on cooldown. And between the shouts giving you adrenaline and Burst Mastery, you should be able to do that pretty standard. So that's basically it. Your goal is to use Earthshaker on recharge, and this build will allow you to do that. And as you can see, it's built for Zerg v Zerg. It's quite tanky with 20 points in defense, 20 points in tactics, and nothing in strength or arms. Going to equipment, my accessories are all Berserker Ascended, so that'll give us a lot of our damage and let the build be super tanky and put its traits into defensive stats and still be able to do pretty decent damage. As far as weapons go, or as far as armor goes, excuse me, I'm using Knights with Soldier Runes. Since we're using all the shouts, I find Soldier Runes to be pretty good because it helps us be tanky and keeps us clear of conditions. So with most of the conditions lasting 33% less, thanks to Dogged March, and 3 shouts that can remove conditions, you're pretty immune to conditions, and so your tankiness will shine through pretty well. As far as weapons go, I got my hammer. It's Knights as well. And my sword, also Knights. And my warhorn, also Knights. As far as the sigils go, for the hammer, we use Hydromancy, which you might think is odd. Same for the sword. Basically what this allows us to do, it's an AoE chill. And that is so strong in Zerg v Zerg. So whenever you swap weapons, which you can do thanks to fast hands quite often, you'll be unleashing a chill on people all around you, which is pretty good. It's a great AoE snare. It's great to swap to your hammer. Everyone gets chilled, and then you blast them with Earthshaker. I have it on the sword as well for whatever reason. I like, because I do switch back and forth from time to time, especially if I'm chasing someone and I need the sword cripples to slow them down. Swapping to the sword and getting Hydromancer, quite good. Warhorn, I have Sigil of Intelligence. Not really essential. This is just a place filler because I haven't bothered to replace it yet. Most likely I would use something else. I mean, maybe accuracy would be fine, or force or something. It doesn't really matter. I don't spend a lot of time in this set. The main thing I use Warhorn for is for mobility and condition removal to continue my mobility with charge, and Call to Arms as a blast finisher, and the AoE weakness. The AoE weakness is super good in Zerg v Zerg, And the blast finisher is also good because people are usually laying down either fire fields before the battle or water fields during the battle, and having the blast finisher on command is pretty strong. You could, if you don't care about the mobility factor, use longbow, which also has a blast finisher, but I find this set to be pretty good, especially in conjunction with leg specialist, because we use Savage Leap. And basically the main combo in this build is to go Savage Leap, initiating to initiate the combat. You're going to cripple someone, which will also immobilize them thanks to leg specialist. Then you swap to hammer, and that's going to chill them thanks to the hydromancy sigil. At that point, you can either auto attack, you can fierce blow, but what I would like to do obviously is follow that up with an earth shaker. So basically, you're going to land the earth shaker on whoever you hit, and then the rest of your hammer skills are utilities as needed. Fierce blow is pretty good DPS, auto attack also pretty good DPS. But that's basically it. As far as the healing skill goes, I use Surge just because I want to be spamming my earth shaker as much as possible. And in Zerg v Zerg, you take a lot of damage, so you need a lot of heals. That is basically it. It's pretty straightforward. Follow the commander around, inflict as many crippled / immobilized as possible, weapon swap to chill people, chase them down, blast finishers, move really fast, AoE death to everyone that comes near you thanks to Earthshaker on recharge. You do pretty decent damage. With Fury up, you have a 60% chance to crit basically. You have 3,000 armor. It's a survivable build. It does decent damage, and it has good Zerg utility. So that is what I do when I Zerg v Zerg on my warrior. When I do roaming stuff, I usually play my NG or my Mesmer or Thief. But when I Zerg, I definitely want a heavy armor class, and I find this build to be a little bit more fun than Zerging on a Guardian. But that's it. If you have any questions, hit me up in the comments. Thanks.